Puma here. All right, so what are we talking about today? We got a lot in store for you that's going to be, I promise you, extreme takeaway.
Yes, today we're getting practical. Like real stuff that you can do right now, today, to grow your business.
The title of it is Everything Works, Do You? Right? So let's talk about that for a second, because here's the problem. I just set up a couple of great coaching appointments. I'm here in the Tampa office today and working with some agents, and phenomenal agents. And there's just so much to do. The creativity is just bustling. Yep. They're having a great time. This market is awesome. Interest rates are low. You guys all know the picture of the business, right? Here's the problem. There's too many options.
Ton.
And here's the worst part about it. Everything works.
Yeah, if you're good enough at it, right? Talent and work ethic.
Even if you suck,
variables.
Right? A blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You can go door knock on every door in town and throw up on one, and somebody will think it's cute. Right? Yeah. So everything works in just a practical. So what I want to talk about today is what's going to be real? Like what is your niche? What should you be doing? Let's talk about you, and I guess let's talk a little bit about self-awareness.
Yep. And
what you need to be brutally honest with yourself about, as far as which of these, we call them pillars, are actually going to work for you. So
right.
Let's break down each pillar.
Okay.
Let's start with the first one. The first one is, by human nature, what you're going to do. Okay, and that is, what is the lowest hanging fruit? That's the easiest shit to do, and that's what you're going to do, because just by nature you don't want to do things you don't like to do.
Path of least resistance.
So there's two types of people in the world out there. There's people that you know, and there's people that you don't know.
Yep.
That's it. And one's bigger than the other. So, which is fine. So let's talk about two types of agents out there. And we're going to talk about your sphere of influence, your center of influence, your natural markets, the people that you know, right? Whatever you want to call it. Well, let's talk about that group. So if you grew up here in whatever town you're in, and you went to high school there, right? You went to college there. You raised your kids here. Right, you're in the PTA, you're coaching the softball leagues, you're involved with the community, you're part of the city chamber, right?
You're in it.
You're in it. You have a natural marketplace of people that already know you, trust you, like you.
Yes.
You won the entire lottery in the real estate industry because there's another person in your market that just moved there, knows nobody, did not go to high school here, did not do any of that stuff, so they don't have the luxuries that you have. So let's talk about that. So you've got the luxury of having people that know you. Because this business, we talk about it all the time, is three things. Can I trust you? Are you good at what you do? And do you actually care about me?
Yep.
Right? So let's break those three things down real quick. Can they trust you? If they grew up with you and they've seen you and you coach their kids in Little League, you're probably not going to kill them.
Yep.
Right? So
there's some level of trust there.
You've checked the box. You've got trust right there. Are you good at what you do? Right? This is an interesting one, because if you are, great. If you're not yet, great. You're with a company who is. Right? Whatever company you're working for has got some street cred. They've done something, so you've got that box checked too. And then the third one is, do you care about me? And that's the one that you've got to figure out on your own, because everything is energy and intentions and vibrations, right? Not to sound out there, but it is. And to prove that point, and when somebody walks in a room and they're totally pissed off, can you feel it?
Oh, 100%.
Right? So they're giving off a vibe. So we all know vibes are real.
Yep.
So when you're talking to anybody, customer or personal life, you're giving out a vibe, and it's a direct relation to how you're feeling. Yeah. So your friends, your sphere, they know you, they trust you, and they know that you are good at what you do. Right? So that's the point. So how do you get business?
Well, let me caveat that. They only know those things if you're actively telling them in some way, shape, or form. Right? Like, just because they're in your phone or they're your friend on Facebook does not mean that they know what you do or that you're good at it, right? I would almost bet money that in my tight circle of friends, half of them don't even know what I do.
Right? I think you're right.
Like, and people need to realize that if you are not actively telling them, whether it's a text, a phone call, or what I would like to see, constant updates on Facebook where you're putting out content that shows that you know what you're doing and what you do for a living and that you are good at it, right? If you're not doing that, they probably don't know and aren't thinking of you in that role, even though they may trust you and they may like you.
They just don't know what you do.
Right. You're not top of mind for them.
Perfect example. We just came off of Beggins University last week, and we talked about this in depth for the full day, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the things we get to is one of the new agents was sitting in the front row, and had her hair done very nicely, presented, and I said, "Who does your hair?" Right?
Yep.
And she immediately sped out the guy's name was Danny, right? And so Danny cuts this girl's hair and is her stylist, right?
Yep.
And I said, "Does he live next to you?" She goes, "No, I actually have to drive about an hour to go see him."
Yep.
She lives in this town and he lives in a whole different town over through traffic, and she says, "I will drive through anything to go see him," because she trusts him and she knows him. And I said, "So if my mom came in today into this room and said, I need somebody to cut my hair, does anybody have a referral for me?" Right? That person is going to raise her hand and say, "You've got to use Danny."
Yep.
Right? Because Danny has done something. We'll talk about the some things in a little bit.
Yeah.
To own the mind share in that filing cabinet. I always joke and say, we've got little filing cabinets in our brain.
Yeah.
Our brain's a filing cabinet.
Yep.
So there's a drawer for a hairstylist. Mm-hmm. There's a drawer for accountant. There's a drawer for attorney. Yep. There's a drawer for friend. There's a drawer for best friend. Right? There's a drawer for real estate advisor, trusted advisor. Right? Most people, it's empty, because nobody has that role. So our job from a sphere of influence is misunderstood, because a lot of you say, "I don't want to talk to my friends, and I don't want to bug them. They probably don't want to buy anything anyway." Stop it, right? It has nothing to do with them buying anything, because all real estate is paying attention to people, right? Making sure they know that you're there to have their back if and when the time comes that they need to move, right?
Yeah. And if you truly care about them as a friend or a family member, and they are going to buy something, do you want them to buy from someone that they don't know, who could potentially screw them,
right?
Or do you want them to buy from you because you know that you'll take care of them, right? So you're almost doing them an injustice by not offering to help or put yourself out there as a resource, because it's something that you should be an expert in. And if you're not, then you need to work on being an expert and really hone your craft. Yep. Otherwise, you're not taking this seriously. But ultimately, you owe it to them, if they truly are a friend or family, to tell them what you do and offer your assistance. So I think and listen, in real estate, owning that category is harder than owning it in a hairdresser, I would argue, because a hairdresser you're going to every month or two, every 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, however often you get your hair done. Where with us, they may not need you again for 5, 10, 15 years. Right. But someone in the 5, 10, 15 years that's a friend of theirs, or a distant family member, or a complete stranger, but they have a relationship with, is definitely going to need something. And if you supplied the value, if you've been a resource for them, automatically they're going to refer you out to that other person.
You got that piece in your brain, right? The reticular activating system that we talk a lot about at Beggins University. And I call it a crap filter, right? Because all it does is eliminate stuff from your world that's not important.
Yeah.
For example, if you bought a car recently, a new-to-you car, it doesn't have to be brand new. But if you are now driving a white Mercedes, and you weren't driving a white Mercedes before, the moment you drove off that lot in that white Mercedes, what did you start to notice?
Other white Mercedes.
Other white Mercedes.
100%.
Right? 100 every time. Because your brain now knows that's important, it's relevant, and it's important in your life.
Yeah.
They were still there before, you just didn't pay attention. So all we do with our sphere is plug into their brain that I equal trust, I equal real estate. Right? And when the time comes, I've got your back. That's all we say. Because real estate, moving, I should say, is the worst thing in the planet to do. Right? I moved this year myself, so it's fresh in my mind how much it sucks. Right? I mean, go through it. You've got to uproot your entire life.
Yeah.
Right? The neighbors you know, whether you like them or not, doesn't matter. You know them. You're used to it. It's your comfort zone.
Yep.
So now that's ripped out of the ground. You shove your life into boxes. You put it on a truck. You hope it gets to where you're going. Right? You unpack it. Now you got to find a new place for all your stuff. You got to meet people you don't even want to go meet.
Yep.
But now you're stuck living next to them for however knows how long your life is. It's aggravating. Your kids need to make new friends. You need to make new friends. You don't know all the different it sucks.
Well, and there's something that sparked the move, right? Whether a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a promotion. You're making more money. You're having a new baby, and you need more room, right? That's a positive thing to cause it. However, the act of the move is still complex because now, in the back of their mind, while you as the real estate agent are focusing on all the complexities of the real estate, in their mind, right? If I'm the mover, the real estate is the least of my concerns at that point, to be honest with you. Everything that happens, right? The last time I moved, the home process, the sale, was just a caveat, right? It was something that I had to do to move into the new house. However, what I was thinking about was, shit, I'm starting a new job, and now I've got a bigger mortgage, and am I going to pay for it? And I got to do this, and I got to do that, and what if I get that? And oh my God, and then is she going to work, and where are the kids going to school? And that's what I'm worrying about, right? So when you really take a step back as the real estate agent, you think they're really concerned about how you're going to market the house and how you're going to sell. And for the most part, they're not. They're worrying about all this other stuff that's, kind of...
Because they assume you've got that handled.
Yes, your job is to handle all of that and make it seem easy.
If you go to the dentist, the last thing you want to do is say, okay, step by step, tell me how you're going to clean my teeth. What are you using? What's that tool? What is the taste like? You just sit there and you go,
you just fix it. Hey, I got pain back there. You fix it, right? And he does his thing and he fixes it.
That's the deal.
That's how, as a real estate agent, you need to approach the transaction and understand that you're just there to solve that problem, right? Because in their mind, it's one. Even though there's 400 things that need to happen with the transaction itself, in their mind, that's one piece of this much larger life event that's happening.
Because here's what really happens in real estate. This is how people pick an agent. There's a brief millisecond in time where they blink, their eyes go up, and they search their filing cabinet. I'm telling you guys, this is exactly what happens. And they say, shit, I have to move. Right? There's something happens. Right? I love my little house. I love my tiki hut. I love my view. I love the water. I love my house. The house that I was in. I did not want to move. You guys, I tried to buy my neighbors' houses just so I didn't have to move. Right? That's how badly I did not want to move.
Yeah.
So I moved now. I love my house. Everything's perfect. It's way better than I could ever imagined it was. But I hated the process.
Yeah, of course.
But there was a second in time where I said, shit, okay. Right? And that millisecond is like, now I'm serious. What am I going to do? Before, I screwed around on Realtor.com and Zillow and Sector 21 and looking at stuff and driving around, playing the game. Right? For a year or so before, I knew it was probably going to come because I had a baby.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And so I didn't want to, but I knew it was going to come. Yeah. So you get to that point where that pain point happens, and there's a millisecond search. Right? So that's when they dig into the filing cabinet. So your friends, your sphere of influence, all they do is keep you top of mind, right? At least in their mind. Yeah. So when they're at their kid's baseball game and their buddy is in the stands with them and says, shit, we just got a promotion, we're moving to Chicago, we need to sell a house, right? That word triggers a search in their mind saying, well, my friend Susie is awesome, right? That's all the sphere is. It's not about that person buying or selling. It's about that person having the internal recall that your face pops up into their brain. Right, so that's the point of sphere of influence. Now, how do you do that? Like, how do you go from being the guy who used to be the accountant, right? Because you own the accountant part of their brain, and now you've got to shut that filing cabinet, rip out that file, tear it up, open up a new drawer, call a realtor, and try to own that one. I mean, what do you do? How do you even make that leap?
It's hard, but here's the thing that you have to keep in mind. Just like we said, whether you want to admit it or not, you're going to approach your business and take the path of least resistance, right? As a real estate agent, when you go to do your daily activities, just human nature, we're going to take the path of least resistance.
You're going to try to sit there and hope your phone rings.
They're going to do the same thing when it comes to picking an agent, right? They are not going to work for it, right? They're not going to go search you down, go through old posts, because they thought that maybe you did real estate, right? They're not gonna do that. They're gonna take the path of least resistance. So whether it's you, whether it's John Smith from another brokerage, whoever is putting content in front of them on a regular basis and can brand in their mind, that is who they're going to go to because it's the path of least resistance. That's the first person that pops into the mind. That's the most relevant search for them, and that's where they're going to go. Now, the reason it's so important is it's also human nature for us to want to help our friends, right? Yeah. So people are funny because you may not want to admit this, but you want to help, right? If someone comes to me and I know that I've got a good attorney and they say, hey, attorney, you're excited.
You want the credit.
You want to help them because then you feel good when that works out for them, right? So they want to help. So people want to refer you. That's the funny part. Like, that's human nature. But now you've got to make sure that you're the person they're referring. And the way that you do that, in my mind, there's many ways. In my mind, though, the easiest way, because we want to take the path of least resistance, the easiest way is this device right here, which is literally our lives, right? Like, outside of my children, if something was falling and I had to catch something, right? Like, I could be falling flat on my face, but if it meant that both hands had to go to protect this device, they would, right? This is our everything. So, I know you have one of these, and if you have one of these, then you have the device that you have a video camera, you have a camera, you have a recorder,
you have a phone,
you have everything. This is every communication device all in one, right? So all you need to do is take this device, film yourself, or even just record yourself, your voice, right? If you're so afraid that someone might actually see what you look like, then use it to record your voice. But every day, bring value to your community.
Let's pause there for 1 second, because we're going to rattle through several things right now.
Yep.
And every single one of them works.
Yep.
But you can't do all of them.
And you shouldn't do all of them.
My takeaway is one.
Yes. Do one thing.
We're going to find the one thing that you're going to go do and actually do it. So, So let's talk about the options. So this phone, to people that we know, there's a couple things. Let's go old school.
Yep.
Let's start old school. Old school is I like to talk to people on the phone.
Yeah, you like to talk.
I go to my contacts.
Yep.
And I go down and I see how many people I have. In this particular phone, I've got 2,339 people in my contacts.
Yep.
Right? If I wanted to, I'm going to scroll through and say, oh, God, I still have him in this phone? Jesus. Oh, shit, I haven't talked to her in a little while. Yeah, that was a great one. Hey, right? And I could call 10 people
100%.
today. And what do I say to them? Right?
Now, what do you say, right? Now, here's the thing. Even if you're old school, guys, you more than likely have a Facebook account, okay? So here's what I would do. Even if my main mentality was I'd rather call them than do anything else, right? No problem.
Says nobody.
Before I call, I don't think there's as many people watching this. I really don't, because if you're watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, you're probably not.
But we're going to eliminate all of your excuses.
Yeah, I literally want to eliminate every excuse. I would still do a quick search for them. If you're not friends with them, find them on Facebook, right? Yep. And see what are they currently doing. Because what might happen is you might scroll through and say, oh, shit, John's in here. I haven't talked to John in 10 years. Let me see what he's up to. Oh, John's an accountant now. A buddy of mine just asked for an accountant the other day. Now, I have a reason to call John. Because now, instead of calling John out of the blue, I can call John and say, hey, do you still do accounting? All right, hey, man, I know we haven't talked in a really long time, but my buddy the other day was asking me, even if your buddy wasn't asking you, right? Yeah. I have a friend who was looking for an accountant. Are you looking for referrals? It's an opportunity. It's a reason to call. And then you guys can catch up and say, oh, by the way, I'm in real estate. If you ever know anyone who's looking, or if I can help you in any way, let me know. Yeah. Right? Yeah. You got to find that connection. But you have tools out there now that you didn't have 10 years ago, like, that can really help you identify and build a relationship. Because that's what this is. Whether you're doing it through a Facebook Messenger, whether you're doing it through a text, whether you're doing it through an ad, whether you're doing it through a phone call. It's a connection point. And you have to use the tools and everything you have available to you to make that connection. The only reason you're not, and this is just real, you're lazy. That's just it.
Well, everyone's got their resistance in their brains too, right? So here's what a lot of people just said, screw that. Yep. I'm not going to talk to John. I haven't talked to him in 10 years. It's embarrassing to reach out and say, I've forgotten about you. You're so unimportant in my life. I've ditched you for the past decade. Goodbye. Right. So some of you have that resistance. So don't call John. Right. Call Susie, who you actually talked to last week because you drank wine with her at the whatever event you were at. And then if you text Susie, don't call Susie because you connect with Susie in a text way.
Yep.
So connect with people the way you normally connect with them. Guys, it's resistance-free business. That's what it's about. If you don't want to do something, don't do it. That's why this is entitled "Do Everything."
Yeah.
Right? It's called Everything Works. Pick one.
Yep.
Right? So if you just want to call people that you know, hey Susie, right? Hey Susie, what's up? Fun drinking wine with you last week. Who do you know that's doing stuff? Right? You can go direct, or you could say, some of you say, no, I'm not going to be that direct. Hey Susie, what's going on? What are you up to? How can I help you?
Can I take you to lunch?
What's going on? And don't even mention real estate, but just talk to her. Siri is talking to me now, right? I said Susie, not Siri. Right? So there's one. So that's old school. So you can text your contacts, you can phone your contacts.
But use your phone book to your advantage. There's people in there that are new, old, depending on what.
Let's get lazier. Right? Let's get even lazier than this.
Does it get lazier?
Yeah, it gets lazier. Let's go hit the little blue box with a white F on it. Facebook.
Yep.
Right? Or Instagram. Either one you want.
Uh-huh.
And let's go to your profile picture. Right?
Yeah.
Could you subtly remind everybody you know that you're in this business?
Yes.
I can change my profile picture to me standing by a Century 21 sold sign, and there's my profile picture. I had to say nothing to anybody, but who gets notified that I just changed my profile picture?
Yeah.
Everybody gets to see that one, or my background, whatever it is, or whatever, or your Instagram, or something.
Update your occupation, because guess what, guys? Unless you have that notification turned off, which 90% of you don't, it notifies all your friends and family that Susie just updated her job, her education, her job title, and it tells them where you now work.
That's right.
Right? Like, these are all easy ways.
This is lazy.
It's not you, right? It's Facebook telling them.
That's right.
And it gets the word out there.
Then you can be Facebook official as a professional trusted advisor. So that's the laziest of all.
Yes.
Change your profile picture to something real estate. Now you want to get a little less lazy and actually work for your living, which is not a bad thing to go do.
Right.
What kind of post can you do on Instagram or Facebook?
Again, it all comes back down to what your niche is, what you want your brand to be, right? So if you were going after attorneys, the kind of content that I post is going to be very different, right? But ultimately,
stay-at-home moms.
Exactly. However, the punchline of it all is you need to take the sales hat off and focus on value to whatever audience you want to come after, right? So if it's stay-at-home moms, the content will be different than if I was an attorney, but the premise is still the same. I need to bring them value and explain how I'm an expert and show that I'm an expert in helping moms, right, find homes or sell their home or be a real estate expert. Now, here's the thing. In the back of your minds, most of you are sitting there saying right now, well, they're not going to care that I'm in real estate. They're not going to want to see my real estate posts every day. They're not looking, and most of them are just going to get annoyed to have my stuff.
I don't want to be pushy.
The reality is, who cares, okay? Because they don't need you until they do, and they can easily keep doing this. Guys, you do it yourselves. You just keep scrolling, okay? Yeah. So the ones that want to watch it are going to stop, and they're going to watch it. Right. The ones that don't are going to keep scrolling. We don't care if they keep scrolling. That's fine. But we keep doing that every day, and eventually that person's going to stop on that video because now they're in a mental spot of moving. But because you've given yourself the opportunity to play the game and be in the newsfeed, that's the key. You have to be in the newsfeed, and the only way to be in that newsfeed is if you're producing content every day to them, right? That's it. So you have to own that space on their newsfeed, which in return owns the space in their brain, whether they quite realize it yet or not. When you're constantly seeing it, you will own that category in their brain.
Let's cut through some more of the crap and just make this totally basic. Advertising and marketing, right? Yep. What is the point of advertising and marketing? It's to make people think about you. What's building a brand is to become recall, right? That's all it is. So before we had all the social media and the Facebook and the Instagrams and all, you had to make an impression, right? You bought a billboard, or you bought a bus bench, or you send a newsletter or a postcard because you were trying to get eyeballs to see your message. True story?
Yeah.
So that's all we do still. It's just the eyeballs are in a different spot.
Yeah.
So if you're not in the news feed, you're not being seen, right? I don't even care if your content sucks, right? As long as you have a picture of yourself standing by a real estate sign and that scrolls through a news feed, you win, right?
Yeah, you're not relevant. And for those of you that have been doing this a really long time, that are starting to struggle or seeing a downturn in your business, or your business is flatlining,
or you're watching people start to nip and start to take market share.
The reason is you probably, even if you didn't buy a park bench, right? It was easier that when John referred you out to someone, they didn't have anyone else picking their brain for that same category, right? Now they do. So I will bet you this. If Tom refers you out, but you've been seeing me every single day, you may still talk to Tom's referral, but you're sure as hell going to call me too because you've seen me every day. It's easy, right? Again, the path of least resistance. Because I'm hitting them in social media where they're at and they're paying attention, I am getting access to them.
Right.
So even though that referral, the point being, those of you who built your business on referral, it's not as easy to do that anymore. And the referral just doesn't matter as much because people are lazy. And if you refer me, right, here's what happens. Someone texts me someone else's number. This is this amount of steps, but this is how lazy we are. I have to go into my message, scroll through it, find where Tom referred them, go to the bottom part of that message or go scroll up where he referred them, click on the thing, see who he was, call the number. I'm not going to do it, right? Or I'm on Facebook, and John's been hitting my newsfeed every day, and I, with one click, can click and contact John. Even though I may trust the referral source more, this is easier, and I'm going to click that and call him first. Right?
Because before this distraction, which is what it is, I could drive down my neighborhood, and I saw Barbara's sign rider on the sign. Barbara owned that neighborhood. Right? She did, because that was the only impression I came in contact with that day. But now, I get bombarded by impressions. That sign rider is less relevant than it used to be.
100%.
Right? So you got to play the game. Now, what we're talking about, guys, is still not even talking about any skill. Right?
No,
this is just
it's just doing.
Blind luck execution. Let's go to skill for just a second. Okay? I like to talk about execution. And if you're going to do it, might as well do it right. Okay? So let's talk about doing it right. And the concept here is people like people who are like themselves, correct? So the reason why these people are your friends is you have something in common or someone in common, right? How many people in your Facebook or Instagram are following you or friends with you because you have a mutual friend? You see you've got 32 mutual friends, like, I'll take them, right? Because you've got something in common. They're less likely to be an axe murderer, right? So you accept them into your tribe. So this is just a tribal connection issue. So if you're going to do a post to your social media, right, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, you've got a blend of people. If you've got 1,000 people in your account, you've got every combination of personality style. You have every personality of tribal upbringing, ethnicities, religions, ages. I mean, you've got the whole spectrum. So you can't just expect one message is going to resonate with everybody. So, but let's talk about skill for a second on how we can craft something that will be relevant. Right? So, a couple things. We were all born the way we were born, and every one of you is perfect the way that you are, right? You were raised the way that you are. You speak the language you speak. You learn eye contact. You learn how to communicate with people. You learn how to shake hands. You learn how to talk. You learn how to everything, right? It was taught and programmed into you in essence, right? So that programming created you the way you are today. So other parts of the world, other people were raised by other people, and you bounced off a lot of people that you didn't really connect with, and then ultimately you found some people that you meshed kind of with because something was similar, and they became your so-called friends. Right now, your person that you call your best friend, you've got more in common with that one person than everybody else because you were raised in the same neighborhood, right? You went to the same school, you had the same teacher, you watched the same sports, you listen to the same music, you're closely related. Right? And that's why you trust that person most because that's the way it is. So if you're going to broadcast a message, you can do it with skill. So let's talk about how to do that with skill. So how do you reach out to have the massive amount of impact that you can? So let's talk about representational systems for a second, which is going a little deeper than we're going to go today, but I think it's relevant. Visual, right? You were raised with one of three primary modalities, right, from your system. So if you were raised in a visual family, that sounds weird to think about, but how do you know you're raised in a visual family? A lot of it's the word choices and the things that were raised by you. So you're starting to talk to people and you say, hey, Mike, look at this. I got to show you something. Come here. Let me show you something. Come look at this. Can you see this? Wait till I show you. Right? These are the words that I use. I'm a visual person, so I speak mostly from a visual perspective.
Yep.
But it's not right, it's not wrong, it just is.
Yep.
Now, somebody else was born into a family that says, hey, come here. We need to talk about this one. Let me tell you something. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Right? We need to talk this through.
Yep.
Okay? So, and that's not right, that's not wrong, that just is.
Yeah.
But when you have somebody who's an auditory-based person, right, they relate to the world in that way.
Yeah.
And then you have another one, which is kinesthetic, the touchy-feely ones, and those are the more, I just get this feeling that there's something going on that we need to kind of go through together, right? So you can tell how they represent the world. So can you go into neutral, right, which is what we love to talk about, and actually think about what you're going to post. And maybe I put some clear intentions out there as to how I'm actually going to make this work. So I say, okay, I can't wait to show you something. When you see something you like, give me a call so we can talk about it.
Yep.
Right? Because once we discuss it, and you're going to feel comfortable with all the things that we've talked about and that you were shown. Right?
Yep.
Just that one sentence I just did, blended visual, auditory, kinesthetic.
Yeah.
So that can be spoken word,
Yep.
or that could be written word, because people process information the same way. So, but if I didn't consciously have that thought to say, how can I make this message have the biggest impact that possible?
Yep.
And it's about trust and respect, right?
Yeah.
Because if I have an audience out there like this, we do a lot to make sure that we're bringing relevant value to you, right?
Yeah.
And you is a bunch of yous, and some of you are visual, some of you are auditory, some are kinesthetic. So that's why you notice we do a lot of visual videos, we do podcasts with spoken words, and we create a lot of the feelings with things that we do. So that's just one. So deliberately you can craft your message to be that way. And can you also tell what people are? If I roll through my Facebook, my newsfeed, and I clicked on Barbara, who's a friend of mine that I haven't seen in a couple of years, I can read her post, and I can tell what modality she's in.
Oh, yeah,
right? Hey, look at my kids. Can't wait till you see what they did. I can't wait to show you. I was looking at this last night. Right? So if I'm going to send her a messenger, right, I could say, hey, I was looking at your post, and I can't believe how big your kids are growing. It's so great to see this. When can we get together? I can't wait to, let's look at some pictures together. Right? I can totally relate to her in a way that I know is going to connect.
Yep.
And if I don't pay her that respect of paying attention to how she is, then I just miss the boat. Because if I go at her from an auditory perspective, because that's the way I was raised, and I ignore the fact that she's visual, she's going to just do this.
Yeah.
Scroll, delete.
Yeah, 100%. It all comes down to doing the homework, right?
Yep.
And because you have the advantage of social media, you have all the tools necessary to find common ground, understand that person, see how they respond. I mean, you get to see, what do they post? What do they care about?
Yep.
What are the wording do they use? What's going on in their world?
What
right?
music do they like?
Yeah, what music do they
like?
What
do they eat
What
this
movies
morning?
do they like? What food have they eaten? What do they like to take pictures of? Like, do they like to take pictures? What's their post? Is it all video? Is it like, what is it, right? You get to learn. If you take the time, you take the time, you can really learn, right? And actually approach that individual to build a relationship on some common ground from minute one. The problem that I think we're going to run into with people who want to do this is that ultimately they all want to get married on the first date, right? Instead of actually having the relationship. And that's where a lot of people will fall short because they're not going to do...
I know they want to get married on the first date.
That's true. But ultimately, they don't have the patience or mindset to actually do the work necessary.
Right.
Jeff, you're terrible. He's thinking
he's
you're all terrible people and want to do bad things.
No, but here's the reality of this thing. let's get to simplicity. If I have 800 Facebook friends or Instagram followers, right, that's just too much. My brain can't even comprehend this, right? So when a new agent or a new to their company agent, experienced agent comes here, one of the first things we do is say, who's your market, right? And if it's, I have 800 people on my list, too many, okay? Yep. You can't connect with that many people. It's just your brain will short circuit. So you watching, here's what you need to do right now. Go through your list. I don't care how big it is, right? Yep. Export, do whatever you need to do. Go through it, and you're going to have your natural market, your close friends, the people that you'd like to have over this weekend for a barbecue. Yeah. Now that might be 8, might be 2, it might be 12. Yep. Probably not going to be more than that. Yeah. Okay. Then you're going to have the next group. I want you to think about who would you invite over to a party. You see the difference? Yep. Right, from a barbecue on Sunday to a party on Friday night. You see the difference in people right there? Now your list just grew, okay? Yep. And so that's what I want you to start thinking about. Then let's profile a little bit, okay? Even though we're not supposed to do that. So let's profile what we want. So we're in business, correct? Yep. So I've got a choice on who I'm going to target in my business for business purposes. Yep. Okay? So I've got a choice. I've got my friend Sean. Sean is a really cool guy, but he is totally non-driven, has no money, has no real influence on really people, but he's a nice person, okay? And then I've got Joe, who is a football coach for the local high school, who grew up here, who happens to have 4,000 friends in Tampa Bay, and he lives in a beautiful neighborhood, and I really like and respect Joe. Okay, now I've got a business decision to make on who I'm going to spend my time with right now. So if I look at my family and I look at my goals and my lifestyle that I'm looking to create for myself, which of these two would be the best person for me to reach out to right now?
Definitely Joe.
Okay.
Now, I'll play devil's advocate a little bit here, in that, again, you have to be self-aware enough to know whether you'll do it or not. If that's me, I'm splitting that list, because I see where you're going, of 80-20, right? And here's why. I look at this the same way that I look at the platforms. I spent a lot of time on emerging social media platforms that just didn't pan out, right? That I thought would, that just haven't really ever gone anywhere. And that's okay, because I know that by creating the behavior, I'm giving myself the opportunity that if one of them ever does hit, I'm going to be on the inside of that, right? So same thing with people, right? And I look at this, especially in real estate, from renters to heavy influencers, right? Because right now, I would spend 80% of my time on Joe, because that makes sense, right? But I would not completely disregard your friends over here, because those people, you never know, right? They may hit the lottery tomorrow. They may, who knows? But regardless, spending time on them, building value with them, will have a long-term effect for you if you're patient enough.
Now, I agree 100%. So step over nobody is the motto we use all the time, right? Everybody is going to get the attention. But if I'm going hand-to-hand combat, with direct messages,
I would do Joe first, for
now,
sure.
I'll post. Sean's going to see my post, too. Right? And I'm going to do the VAK, and I'm going to reach something that will be of interest to him, too. But my decision today, if I've got an hour and a half to do lead gen, right? I'm going to go to Joe first.
100%.
And I'm going to exhaust my barbecue list. Then I'm going to exhaust my Friday night party list. Right? Then I'm going to go to my Christmas card holiday list. And then I'm going to go to who the hell are you list. Right? In that order. Right? I'm not going to ignore any of them, but I'm going to decide which ones I'm going to go to first, because I've got a goal. If you have a goal as an agent to do 3 transactions this month, let's go to the people that are most likely to spit those out now. Now, the other ones we're going to incubate, and we're going to still be in their filing cabinet. But if we need business right now, Joe's most likely to give it to me. Okay. So Sean can too, because we don't know about his cousin who's moving here from Austin, right? So that's the whole deal. So I just wanted just tangible things to go do to prioritize, because we have so many options. It's paralyzing. And it's frightening. That's when I was coaching with agents today.
But on the same concept, I mean, the reality is, as we mentioned earlier, your friend group is mixed, right? Across many different ways. So you are silly and being naive if you think your one post, your one video post every day is going to reach all those people.
Or be relevant.
Or be relevant to them. And so you need to be thoughtful of what content you're posting. And again, it goes back to, I think people get really caught up on, the theme is different, your posts don't look the same, the colors are different.
Right.
Yeah, I know, right? Because here's the thing. I follow certain people, right? Like Gary Vee is someone I follow. I don't watch all of Gary's content because there's content that he pushes out that's geared towards an audience of things I don't care about. I don't watch it, right? And he's not concerned about that. Right. He's not concerned about that. So you can't be either. You have to produce content for all the markets that you want. So using these two as an example, the content that I'm posting that I know Joe's going to care about is different than the content that Sean's going to care about. But instead of just doing one, I'm going to do both.
That's right.
I'm going to produce some stuff that I know Sean's going to love, and I'm going to produce stuff that Joe's going to love. Knowing that, right, now knowing that the short term, Joe's probably going to provide greater return for me. Yeah. However, long term, I'm going to win because now I'm getting both. So you really need to, that's taking it the next step. And that also goes into being resistance-free on all the platforms and understanding and being thoughtful of each platform and why you should post there and what the post should be. Because even though your video might be the same or the picture's the same, the copy of it, the way you position it, the hashtags you're using on Instagram may be different and should be different depending on what platform you're on. Mentally, if you really think about how you act as a consumer, when you're on Facebook, Instagram, when you're listening to a podcast, when you're on LinkedIn, you are different, right? You just are. You're in a different spot mentally. You're looking for different things. You just are. So be thoughtful of that when you're creating content. And if you know, as an example, my dad, who's 62 years old, is on Facebook, right? I know that if I wanted to create a post about retirement and investing in real estate, then I could hit that post on Facebook, right?
He's not on Snap.
But that post is not going to go on Instagram. He's not on there, right? So be cautious of that. If you know that most of your first-time home buyers are on Instagram, then great. Have Instagram posts about that. But don't post that everywhere if it doesn't make sense to post it everywhere. So just be thoughtful of that, too, as you're doing this. But here, the punchline of all of this is just do, right? We take the approach here of we would rather make 30 posts and 5 of them have an impact and really take off than just not doing any because we weren't sure.
Or trying to make one that's
everybody. Or just doing nothing because we weren't sure if that might offend somebody or whatever.
Think about this.
Just do it.
Think about your friends, your list of friends on Facebook, just for example, or your followers on Instagram. Right? Just think for 1 second what music they listen to today. Right? Think about the diversity of that. Right? I mean, really, you've got electronic, you've got hip hop, you've got country, you've got jazz. You've got the spectrum. So I want you to think about what you're doing in those contexts, right?
Yeah.
Because if you post a hip hop video, your guy who likes smooth jazz is going to scroll right by it.
Yep.
Right? You're going to do a smooth jazz post. Your hip hop guy is going to say, "What the F is this?"
Yep.
Right? And your country guy is going to sit there waiting for the beer post to come through. Right? So that's the way it goes. So I want you to think about your world, and you've got a big one, and you've worked so hard to get these people's trust over the years. Right? You've worked your whole life for this moment right now with that tribe of followers that's around you that likes you, that trust you. You influence their life at some level. You've worked your whole life for it. But respect the source, right? Yeah. And respect them, and don't try to make them all forced to listen to your music.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're never going to.
And then do it all with the right intention, right? Yep. If you go into this, if you're making a post that you don't even technically believe in or don't feel comfortable making, but you're only making it because me or Jeff said to, or because you think it might drive a home sale, do not make that post.
No.
Just don't do it. If you truly want to bring value and own that cabinet space of the individual, and that is the goal, then you will trust in the process. You will create content that is authentic, that drives that result, and know ultimately that if you follow that process, you ultimately will likely end up with something in return. But if you go into it with just hoping that you're going to post this and it's going to get you results, don't even post because you're not being authentic about it. I just talked to Denise from South Tampa on the way out, and she stopped me and she said, I've been taking the advice, and she just did a video, put a little money behind it. And she said, just by being a little bit more thoughtful in the content, when I was doing my videos, I was getting 1 to 3 leads. The last video I did, I just got 7 in the first day, right? By being more thoughtful. And she goes, I didn't even put my phone number or anything in there. They were actually messaging me saying, hey, this is a great video. We want to chat. How do we get a hold of you? I said, perfect.
That's exactly right.
Because when they've made up their mind, when they decide to call you and you didn't ask for it, it's so much more powerful than if you sat there and right-hooked them the whole video and asked them to call you or fill out a form or do something else.
And 7 is a huge return.
Huge. And she didn't spend a lot of money. So the reality is, I know it works, right? That's not a question. You're going to drive business. But if you're doing it solely because of that, you're getting tied to the outcome, which is something I take away from what you preach all the time. And the second you get tied to the outcome, you're dead. So you have to separate yourself from that. Fall in love with the process. Fall in love with creating the content. That's why we do this. This doesn't drive a financial return for us, right? This is because we love to bring value. We love to do this. We love to help people because the high for me is that conversation. Yep. The high for me is when she comes up and says, hey, I grew my business because you told me to do something and I did it, right? That, for me, that's the return. It's not dollars.
Yep.
And I truly believe that the ones that are heeding this advice, Denise, Jessica, Mike Southward, Joe Diener's doing it now,
Yep.
Andy Simmons is doing it. The ones that are doing this will have a better year this year, next year, and for years to come than they did the year before. And not because of me, but because they just listened, understood it, executed on it, and guys, watch their content. It's not perfect. There's road noise, but they're just doing it, and they're getting better and better and better. If you watch Jessica's videos now, I'm going to call her out because we can. If you watch Jessica's videos now compared to the very first couple, there's a drastic difference. She's bringing more value, quality's a little better, so just start doing it. But I promise you, it'll drive return, but you have to go into it with the right intention.
You've got to be a servant, right, mentality.
Yeah.
How can I serve you? How can I help you? What can I do to make your life better? And that's your drive, right? I mean, that's what our drive is. My personal drive is to have everybody that I touch's life get better, right? Make them have a big-ass smile. I say it every day. What's going to put a big-ass smile on your face? And then I'm going to help you get that. That's my job. That's my high. That's my why. And the money comes as a result of doing good things for people, so don't even worry about that. Right, so let's go to Jessica for a second, because she's fun, because I talked to her this morning, and she's like, I need to do a post, and what do I do? So I don't know, what do you want to say? She's like, I don't know. And I said, well, let's talk about what's relevant and what's real right now. And so we started talking about it. So what's going on in the real estate market right now that's true? Right? She says, well, a lot. I said, well, let's talk about a couple of them. So let me give you guys something you could post about this too. Right? So right now, interest rates are around 4.5%. Okay? Right now, this economy is screaming. Right? Everything is awesome. Consumer confidence is at its highest. Stock market's off the charts. Right? Everyone's feeling good. Companies are expanding. There's more money investing in everything than ever before in the history of the world. You don't get a better opportunity than right now. So as that trend continues, I don't see anything on the horizon right now, knock on wood, that's going to knock that balance off, right?
Yeah.
So everything we know today, with everything that's going on, that's going to continue. So when that continues, it's very scary. I was talking with John Lum about this morning. Lumber costs are up. Yep. Copper is up. Steel is up. All that stuff is up. Prices are going up, right? It's called inflation, right? So what the economy does is it raises interest rates to slow down this rate of growth, right? It's just kind of the way it works. So that's what Jessica and I were talking about today. So let's talk about that into real estate for a second. When that happens, and let's say you and Courtney decide to sell your house.
Yep.
Right now, if there's even a thought in your head, because I planted them in your head a lot, right?
Yeah.
That you should move, okay? And so it's there, but you're probably not going to. But if there was a possibility of you moving in the next year and a half, like remote possibility, even just the seed was in there for the next year and a half, you're stupid for not doing it right now. And here's why. Because your house is worth more than it's probably ever been.
Yep.
Okay. You're going to have to buy another house too, right?
Yep.
And so interest rates are very low at 4.5%.
Yep.
If you wait another year and the economy keeps going the way it's going, your 4.5% interest rate is going to be 5.5% interest rate.
Yep.
True?
Yep.
And if you were to wait to buy for 5.5% interest rate, the house that's this big when you buy it today is now this big tomorrow because you can't afford as much of a house. True?
Yeah.
And then as interest rates go up, your buyer pool goes down. So there's a bunch of people that can afford your house today because rates are at 4.5%.
Yep.
And if the rates go up to 5.5%, the buyer pool that can afford your house is this big, which means demand isn't as much. Supply will still be there because people are still getting married, still having kids, still getting divorced. So supply and demand is going to be out of whack. So your house is going to be worth less.
Yep.
And the house you can buy will be smaller and not as nice.
Yep.
Right? So if you're even remotely considering a move in the next year and a half, and you can do it, you can qualify, you're literally stupid not to do it today.
Yep.
Okay. Now, is that everything I said is true?
100%.
Okay. So is that a message that's postable?
Yes, and it's something you should post.
Okay.
If you're good at your job, right?
But I mean it too.
Yes.
I mean it. If you guys are going to move, you don't do it now. Stop.
No, it's a fact,
Yes.
right? So I look at it and say, if you consider yourself a good real estate agent, knowing that type of value and telling people about it, your customers, is the right thing to do. You should be doing it. You are not, if you know that information and withhold it and don't tell people,
it's rude.
you are a terrible real estate agent. Like
terrible person.
I'm just being honest, right? Because that would be like an attorney knowing something that would help you in your case, but not telling you because he's not sure you want to know about it, right? He's not sure, right? So it's his job to know the intricacies of the law and use it to help you. It is your job to know the intricacies of buying and selling real estate and to tell them about it. That is your job.
So let's say that post went out. Right?
Yeah.
If you just moved into your house today and you're thrilled to death, I'm not moving again. I hate moving.
Yep.
Right? I'm not moving. I don't care what happens. I'm not moving. I say that now.
That is my approach.
So if I saw that post, I'm going to scroll right past it because it's not relevant to me in any way, shape, or form. But the guy who is saying, honey, we talked about this kitchen does suck, right? Wouldn't we want to have a better one?
Yep.
Let's look. Right? That's all we want. You want to reach out to the person that's relevant to. And 95% of the people that are in your tribe right now, 99% of the people that you know don't want to, 100% of the people you know don't want to move.
Right.
It sucks, right? But there's a percent or two that life is happening to that has a choice.
If it's in the back of their mind, they will stop. And those are the people that you want to stop.
Right.
If the person has zero desire to move, they're going to keep scrolling, and that's okay. And I think that holds a lot of you back. So many of you, when I sit down one-on-one, talk to me about, I only have 50 friends on my page, right? Or I only have, 100 followers on Instagram. Okay, and, right? Here's the thing. I don't care if you get 10 people to watch the video or engage with the content. I would be willing to bet that 90% of you, probably 100%, but 90% of you watching do not talk about your business to 10 people a day, right? So if you made a post and got 10 people, that is 10 people that more than a normal day that engage with your content. So stop letting the numbers bother you. I could care less.
Just seeing the
views, your branding. That's why you got to take the sales hat off. It's not a sale. If you make a post today and no one comments on it, and you get 5 views and that's it. Who cares? Go back tomorrow and you do it again. And you keep doing it because that view, the one view, if you got one view, that matters, right? And that will impact your business if you're persistent and you keep doing it and you keep bringing value. It's just a long tail game, but I can't stress it enough. Now, real quick, because I know we can get on tangents with this topic because we're passionate about it, but for people that this has all been driven a lot around people who have a sphere of influence in the area. For those that don't, right?
Yeah.
We have a few new agents, but there's others that come on. There's probably people listening that don't have as big of a following here.
Yeah.
They're brand new to the area. The concepts still work, right? the posts still work. And I say that because I think you probably know more people in the area than you think you do, right? They may not be your closest friends, it may not be family, but if you have 4 friends here, you actually know probably 50, 60 people in the area just through those 4 friends, right? So I would still argue that it's in your best interest to start posting content. Now, you may need to do more, right? You may need to put some dollars behind the content so that you can specifically target in the area because you don't have the deployment as deep, right, in Tampa necessarily, if that's where your area is. But the concept is still the same. You need to post content. You need to bring value. And I guarantee you, this is a large area. It's a big touristy area. People want to move here. Even if you're from Philly, or you're from Ohio, or you're from Texas, or California, if you have 100 friends, you definitely, in that 100, have people that have family or friends in this area or that are moving to this area or want to be in this area. I promise you. Like, it's a numbers game, and it's a fact.
So to that point, though, when we started talking about this, people that you know, people that you don't know, there's more people that you don't know, especially if you just moved here. But I was just thinking, when you started school, right, any level of school you went into, and you didn't really know many people. You might have known 1 or 2, but you ultimately had to find your way, right? And you had to find out who's in that class, right? What's interest, what's socially acceptable, and you kind of morphed and were trained to become those people, correct? Or I don't care if you were the goth person, right? You still found the other people that dressed in black and pierced their shit too, right? So then you formed your little clique, and then your tribe grew because you went out and did your stuff. What's true story? Right? Everyone finds what they gravitate towards. So your point is, you're going to grow your tribe and find people that you like. But that's a whole different topic we're going to get to. The fun part is there's so much to talk about, but we hit our time.
Did we?
Yep.
Man. All right. Now, I'll leave you with this. For those of you that are newer to the area, or those of you that are from this area, this is something so simple and practical that you can do, okay? Go to Facebook. I showed this like when I first started. I'm a Redskins fan, right? If I'm trying to meet people, again, find common ground, you literally can go to the search bar, hit Redskins fan, right? Get a list of people Facebook will create. Its algorithm will pull people who have referenced being a Redskins fan. You can segment that by Tampa, and I can find other Redskins fans in Tampa. Click the little add button. It'll allow you to leave a note. Write them a note that says, hey, I see you're in Tampa and a Redskins fan, so am I.
I just moved here.
Yeah, I just moved here. If you ever go somewhere to watch a game,
let me know
if there's a best bar to watch a Redskins game.
Connection.
Right? Whatever that is for you, for me that would be the Redskins, but use that search bar, guys. It's so powerful. You can find people you can connect with, and instantly you can grow your tribe locally for free with a click of a button.
That's right. You're a mom, new mom, join a mommy group.
Yes.
Go to the meetups, go meet some people.
Go search mom, go to groups. You'll see a ton of them, and most of them will start by local, so you can go to Tampa mom groups and this year, and you can start to
you like Kenny Chesney, search Kenny Chesney. And
whatever it is. I don't care if you like the garden or Pierce shit. So we'll leave you with that.
Yeah.
If you have any questions or comments about this podcast, let us know. You can always follow us at BE3 on Instagram, Beggins3 on YouTube, or BE3. Search that, you'll find us. And thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for watching, listening. Bye.